Hello and welcome to Merryweather Knitting. My name is Gabriella and I'm coming to you from my home in Germany, where I'm so excited to chat with you today about knitting and crafting and creative inspiration, which I have not done for such a long time. I think it's been about 2 months since I last sat down to record a podcast, and so much has happened in that time in my life, I'm sure in yours too. We've gone through the holidays, we've entered into a new year, and I just can't wait to catch up with you. I really missed sitting here and just having these knitting conversations with you. So I have my little cup of tea in my flea market teacup, which is just really lovely. Today I have kind of a spice tea blend, which is just so yummy. And I guess I want to talk to you first about where I've been for the past 2 months, because I think rather than wait, I'll just chat with you about that first. As usual, everything will be time-stamped, so if you are just looking to hear about knitting, you can go ahead and click the timestamps below to find those parts of the videos, but right now I'll just chat with you a little bit about where I've been and what I've been up to, and a little bit about the concept of going into a creative hibernation or a making hibernation, because I just am emerging and awakening from one of those. What I've called a creative hibernation. So about 2 months ago, I just left you off and I had a couple of projects I shared with you and I was really enjoying my knitting. At the beginning of December, I was thinking that I would have my Stephen West shawlography project on the needles the whole month of December, and that I would just knit that project. And shortly after recording that podcast, I stopped knitting altogether. I stopped doing any crafts altogether, and I did that very consciously. It was this crazy, wild experience, which I don't know how to start. I guess that's the first thing to say, is that I've taken a break from knitting until right now. It's been quite a few weeks that I haven't knit. I haven't picked up my needles. I decided I would just not pick up my needles until I really wanted to again. And it hasn't been until, just a few days ago, maybe about a week ago, that I started to really feel a very strong desire to knit again and to make again. So that's where we are. And the reason why I stopped knitting was because I felt myself, well, first of all, I had a very big external factor, a very big external motivator that kind of stopped me in my tracks. And it's because I was feeling really unwell, feeling really sick, for a very positive reason, and that reason is that I'm expecting a baby. I'm pregnant with our second baby. If you don't already know, my husband Nick and I have one daughter, Esmeralda, who is almost 2. She's I think 22 months old, and oh my gosh, we're expecting our second baby, and we just could not be more excited or more thrilled about welcoming a new little life into our family. The baby is due in late summer of this year, and it's just a really, really exciting, wonderful, wonderful time. But for me, the first trimester of pregnancy, this time around at least, and also last time around, so maybe it's just general for me, but the first trimester is really, really hard for me. I feel really, really sick, really fatigued. I get really, really sick, and I was pretty much not able to function normally in any capacity. It was really, really hard, and it's just everyone has their challenges when it comes to pregnancy. I know lots of women have different experiences, and I just really look with admiration and awe at the women who just go through pregnancy without any kind of physically not feeling sick, not feeling ill. But for me, it's been a really hard first trimester, and actually still second trimester. I still don't feel the best. I'm very thankful though that everything is going well, that the baby is healthy. We could not be more excited and more thrilled about this new little life that's growing. I'm already in this anticipation mode now, just thinking, what do I want to make for the baby? But the first couple of months, I didn't have, the capacity to do almost anything actually for a while there. I could hardly function. I just could basically get by in life. So thankful for my husband, who helped a lot with cooking and taking care of that kind of thing with Esmeralda, because I could not cook. I felt really sick. It would make me sick to cook. I don't want to like give too much information, but it was really a challenge. And so I was just kind of like at the end of myself, just trying to get through every day. And because of that external or like physical kind of challenge, I didn't have the capacity to knit. I didn't have the capacity to make. I didn't have the capacity for anything. I was very like, just, you know, kind of trying to make it day by day, moment by moment. And so that was one part of it. But another part of it, and maybe it was motivated by that, maybe not, but I felt myself kind of in this just this kind of uninspired. I felt kind of uninspired. I didn't feel that interested in my projects. I didn't feel a pull to try to find or a new project, anything that I had like, you know, different things I had laying around. I just didn't feel like knitting. And so instead of kind of trying to push myself through that, which I often would say, you know, just try to knit a little bit every day until you get your motivation back, or, you know, there's some times where you just need the right kind of spark and then you get back into it. I looked at my circumstances and I looked at, you know, the previous few months, the whole year of 2021. I had done so much knitting. I had been so inspired. I had been in this just state of constantly like wanting to cast on new projects, casting new things on, casting off, knitting all the time. My knitting went with me wherever I went. It was just such an amazing part of my life. And I realized, you know, maybe this is just kind of a winter period, a kind of pausing period for my creative making life. And that I was really inspired by taking walks out in the woods and just seeing how everything was asleep. All the trees were bare. The places that I knew that flowers grew, like all the flower beds were just bare and dead and empty, but they're not really dead. A lot of them, you know, at least the perennials are there underneath asleep, waiting for springtime to wake them up, for them to come pop their little heads out again. So I thought, you know, maybe that's where I am too. I know that this is a temporary period physically, and maybe I just need to take a step back. So I kind of banned myself from knitting or doing anything like crafting wise. I didn't force myself. I really just kind of let myself languish in the state that I was in. And it did me so much good mentally and physically just to kind of step away from everything. And then in addition to that, I kind of backed away from like social media. I didn't really watch YouTube videos, didn't watch the things I usually like to watch, like knitting podcasts or other things. I kind of tried to focus on just reading and listening to music and just spending time with my family. And it was so amazing to also just take a step back from social media in general and kind of take a couple of months mostly offline. Of course, I was still, you know, checking in here and there and doing different things, but it was really a wonderful little break. So I told myself, you may not knit or do anything again until you really want to. I thought, like, I'm just not going to do anything again. Like, I'm not going to try to make something or start a project unless I really have this just desire to do it. I'm not going to try something out just to like see. I really wanted to wait until I felt myself really inspired. And so I did that, and I waited and waited, and about a week ago, I started to feel like a certain project was calling my name. And I'll share that one with you in a moment. And then I worked a little bit on it, and I was really like, I was just besotted with this design and just amazed by the cables. It's a pullover, which you've seen before. I'll share it in a moment. And I've not made much progress on it. It's my last time sharing it with you. Really, like, it's been very limited progress. As I said, I took a huge break, but that was it just reignited something in me a little bit. And then I went and I organized kind of my knitting basket with all of my kind of current projects and like yarn that I've been wanting to cast on for a while. And I found these gorgeous, gorgeous skeins of yarn that I'd been dreaming about previously a lot. And I had this kind of sketched out chart for something that I wanted to knit with these yarns. And so I really was like, oh my gosh, I need to knit this. I really want to knit this. I really want to try these yarns out and see how they come together. And so then I cast on, and ever since then it's been slow and very timid, but kind of like the blooms of springtime are peeking through in my creative knitting making life. And it feels so good. It's so special. Knitting remains one of those places that I love to go for stillness and for calm and for focus, and also kind of like a meditative place I like to go, especially when it comes to projects that require a little bit more focus, that I can just focus exactly on each stitch that needs to be knit and watch the project grow. It's such an amazing thing to be able to make your own garments and accessories and work with these natural fibers. So it's been just an absolute joy to be back to knitting again, and so I'm excited to share with you what I've worked on. And I do have to say, I think that taking that break was such a recharging experience for me. And I just want to encourage you. Sometimes, those knitting, when you lose your knitting mojo, sometimes it's okay to step back from it too. Sometimes it's okay to take a break and just wait until it calls you again. And other times, I do know that I just need to stick with it a little bit and just knit a little bit each day or find a new project. But this is one of those times that it just did me so much good to take a real break and allow myself to kind of hibernate and then come back out when the inspiration struck. Yeah, it's so amazing. And also, you probably have experienced that too. I'd love to hear if you've had times in your life where kind of external factors, whether that be feeling ill or whether that be, maybe you have like a really busy season at work or really, a lot of exams or something like that where, or just a busy season in your personal life where, sometimes knitting fits really well in those seasons too. I know that sometimes it's just so nice to like have 15 minutes of just hand crafting, but other times I don't have any capacity for anything. And sometimes those are also times that kind of force us to have to recharge our kind of creative hand-making batteries and just let the mojo return when it feels like it needs to, or let life settle down again before kind of return to projects, especially if you're working on more elaborate projects. I know that that's also a time where mindful and mindless projects can come well into play depending on your kind of knitting personality. If you're more of somebody who likes just a mindless project, kind of just like lots of stuff in it, be able to kind of turn off your brain with, sometimes those are good times for those projects. Or sometimes you want a project with a lot of detail to kind of get your focus somewhere. There are different times for different things, but right now, completely stuck in it feels to me like I just don't have the energy to physically knit stuck in it. I want to have a connection with my hands and my brain. I don't know if that makes sense, but I know that other times it's totally different for me. So anyway, that's where I've been. That's kind of what I've been going through. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear if you've ever gone through something similar, if you've ever taken a break from crafting and then returned to the, your craft recharged and revitalized after your break. Let me know what you think. But I'm going to share with you the projects that have reawoken my love for knitting again, and I think there are lots more projects to come, but the first thing that I returned to, the first thing that I knit on, will probably not come as a surprise if you've seen my videos or my podcast, and that is my Anne of Cleves sweater. This is from the Tudor Roses book by Alice Starmore, and it's such a beautiful design. It's so gorgeous. This is a pullover that is knit in pieces, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful, elaborate cabled design. I don't know where I was last time. I think it could be that I was here last time we last spoke, or maybe like a little bit. I don't know if that's where I was or not. Could be. That looks like a lot of progress, honestly. But I know that I haven't made that much. It could have been that I knit a good chunk before I just stopped knitting. But I've just knit a couple of rows in the past few days. And it's been so fun to return to. This requires my full attention because of the different cabled panels. And I can listen to an audiobook as I knit it, or I can listen to music, but I don't really like watching something while I knit it just because I need to have my eyes on the project. And yeah, it's just a beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous project. I'm knitting it out of Jamieson and Smith yarn. This is the bulky base, which unfortunately is discontinued. This is the colorway Fuchsia. It's a beautiful fuchsia colorway. I think the name just fits it perfectly. And yeah, it's a gorgeous yarn. And I have these beautiful stitch markers too, which are beautiful little stones. I absolutely love them, and it's so special to be knitting and working on this project again. The one downside to this project is that I know that I'm not going to get very much wear out of it anytime soon. Even if I were to finish it before the kind of sweater season is over here in Germany, I'm pretty sure my belly is going to be a little bit too big for me to wear it. I don't know, I guess I could wear it, but it might stretch it out a little. I don't know. It probably would shrink back, but I'm just a little not as motivated, a little demotivated when it comes to this project because it's a pullover, and yeah, my belly's already growing, so I know it's just gonna get bigger, and that's a little bit disheartening. I'll have to wait for next autumn, but I will still keep working on it and hopefully have it finished before the pregnancy is over. That would be amazing to have the sweater ready for me when the baby's there and out and I can put on a pullover again without a giant belly in the way. I am thinking about casting on a cardigan though. I've been really dreaming about a cardigan. I think it would be so fun to knit a cardigan. I haven't knit one in a long time. I've mostly just knit like pullover sweaters, and so I think having a little cardigan would be perfect, the perfect compromise for that, you know, growing belly. We'll see. Here in Germany, you can get a lot of wear out of sweaters during the year. I feel spring goes a long time, and in summer there are even like cooler evenings and cooler days where, depending of course on the fiber and the kind of nature of the sweater, you can also get a lot of wear out of a sweater as well. So I'm thinking about casting on a little cardigan soon. We'll see. That's to come. That's kind of my mind has been dreaming a little bit about that. But the next thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the yarn and the project which I've been working on that's been kind of the most exciting, revitalizing for me. I've just been totally in love with it. Yeah, like I said, I was cleaning out my yarn stash, my kind of knitting basket, and oh, I've just found these gorgeous skeins of yarn, and I had to ball them up and get knitting. I had a little chart that I had sketched out previously that was inspired by the mini skeins set. I will show you this right now. It's November Woods Fiber Co., which, if you don't already know Alexandra of the November Woods podcast, you should definitely check out her podcast. She's got the most lovely projects. She makes lovely, beautiful garments, beautiful accessories. She's just a wonderful knitter and a dear, dear friend of mine here on YouTube and just in my life. I feel like I just treasure her and love her. And we did a yarn swap a few months ago, and she sent me one of her mini skein sets. She sent me the Lighthouse Keeper mini skein set, and I loved the whole color story. I loved the whole concept of these colorways and this Lighthouse Keeper idea, which is just this lovely lady who has this lighthouse and who's just a lighthouse keeper, and these colorways just were super inspiring to me. So I'm going to show you them here. They're all balled up because I'm using them for color work. I only have 2 colors used so far, but it's really lovely. So there are like these beautiful kind of, this is a light pink, this is a more dark, rich, deep pink. This is kind of a more, you know, sandy, warmer color. And then here is a more cool sandy tone, and then this gorgeous indigo dyed blue, which is just stunning. So all of these 5 colorways are so lovely and subtle and beautiful and really inspired me. And so I have this chart that I sketched out, and it's kind of also inspired by like the seashore. I have like little like seashells and just shore side flowers and sand, the waves crashing in onto the sandy shore. And so I sketched out this little chart, and I've started to knit it, and I'm really enjoying it. It's for a little hat. I didn't mention that before. The chart, the like pattern I'm knitting is a little hat. It's like a pattern of my own making. I had wanted to knit a hat or a tam after reading the book Knitted Tams by Mary Rowe, I think is the name of the author. I will of course put it in the show notes, the name of the author of that book. And that book was so inspiring and so interesting, and I learned so much from it. And so I kind of wanted to put all that I learned to the test and design my own little knitted tam or little beret hat. So that's what I've done. And in addition to these 5 colorways, I also have this colorway, this skein of yarn, which is also November Woods Fiber Co. This is her Fox Prince colorway, and it's just a beautiful, gorgeous, kind of warm, light brown shade, and it goes so well with this mini skein set. So I think this is going to be an amazing combination. I'd love to make a similar coordinating pair of mitts or mittens or something. I think that would be so fun, or like cuffs or something like that. I think that would be a lot of fun. And I also think these colorways are really nice for the the January onwards season. I mean, honestly, they look amazing in autumn too, and winter, but I like that there's some pink in there and some blue, which to me feels a little bit fresh. It feels a tiny bit like there's just kind of like this whisper of springtime that comes into this for me, and I really like that. I really wanted that. I guess subconsciously. I'm saying like as if I planned it. I just saw these colorways and they just spoke to me, and they had spoken to me a lot before, but this time it was just a different moment. The moment has come to knit them up. So I'll show you what I have so far. I have very little. Like I said, I'm just slowly easing my way back into knitting, but it's so much fun to be working on different things. So this is my little hat, and it's a little tam, so it's going to be like a beret kind of a shape. And yeah, I have a little cuff already, and the color work has begun. I can't really tell yet what it will be, but they're kind of like the waves that's in my imagination, like the sand with little stones and kind of the sea foam maybe kind of crashing up, pushing the sand against each other, dry and wet sand. And then there are just a row of lovely little pink seashells emerging from beneath the waves. And I'm so excited about this little hat. I can't wait to have it finished. I can't wait to wear it. I think it's going to be absolutely lovely. And hopefully in the springtime, we'll be able to go on a little vacation, which would be so special, to the North Sea, which is something that Nick's family has been doing every year for Nick's whole entire life. And when Nick and I were first dating, they took me with them, and it was so special. I fell in love with the North Sea and the coast up in the north of Germany. It's just absolutely stunning, and it's been so special to visit, but it has been a couple of years since we've been able to go, and so I'd love if we can go this year, which hopefully we have plans to go. We'll see if it works out. You never know these days what's going to happen and what's not, but if it works out, I'd love to wear this little hat there on the shore, and yeah, it would just be so special. So that's my second project, and my real kind of, yeah, my real like love and my return to knitting again. And the last project I have to share with you is one that I had shared so long ago, super long ago. I had started these socks. It's really also a very special project because it's also with yarn from another friend of mine, another podcasting friend of mine, but I had taken a break from it. I think I had been a little overwhelmed by like cabled socks for a moment. There was a moment where I just like was obsessed with cabled socks, and so then I kind of tried to sketch my own design out, which I loved to do. Like I loved doing it, but then I don't know, it's just kind of the project, I didn't knit on it for a while. So it's so nice to be back to this one, and I've only knit a couple of rows. I'm not going to show you it too closely because it's kind of still almost like a swatching experiment to try to adjust the cable motif and how I want it to look. But it's this little pair of socks, and these are inspired by the moon. I was inspired by this beautiful golden colorway, which this colorway is called Soleil. And this is yarn by Paper Crane Yarns, which is also the name of the podcast that Ashley hosts. Ashley is the owner and dyer for Paper Crane Yarns. I think she even has her own local yarn shop now where she lives, which is so cool. And she's just such a lovely podcaster, such a talented yarn dyer as well. And this gorgeous, beautiful, sunshiny colorway is called Soleil. And so, yeah, fitting, like the opposite of the sun. I kind of was inspired by the moon and the idea of a harvest moon, and so I wanted it to be kind of a round, kind of moonish, reflective shape. We'll see how it turns out. I'm still experimenting, but it's been fun, even just to a couple of rows to twist a couple stitches and get back on this project. But this one's at the forefront of my mind and my knitting life, and I'm loving it. I'm just loving it so much. It's so much fun, and oh, I mean, this colorway is also just absolutely stunning. I love knitting it up. I have this very cute stitch marker, which is like some waffles with cherries and whipped cream, which make it all the more fun to knit. Having like little stitch markers or little progress keepers make the experience all the sweeter, I would say. So those are my projects. Those are my knitting things. Those are the things I've been making and working on. And it's just been so lovely. I'm so excited that I'm back with you. It's so good to just be able to chat and share with you. I'd love to hear what you've been making and what you've been knitting and what has been inspiring you in your creative crafting life. I'd love to hear, you know, the colors you're drawn to right now. I feel like this is such a special time of year as far as colors go. Anyway, that's all I have to share with you today. It's been so good to catch up. It's been so good to sit with you. And I look forward to sitting with you again soon and chatting more about knitting and crafting and all those things. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and of course subscribe if you want to see more. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.